Orthographic projection. In this video, we will learn how to draw an orthographic projection of a given object. This is the third video on this topic. If you haven't watched my previous video, the link for the playlist is provided in the description, or the I button. Consider this figure. Instructions are as follows. Draw the following views for the given isometric view. Front view looking from X direction, top view, and side view. This given view of the object is called the isometric view. Here we can see the object drawn in a three-dimensional view. By looking at this view, we have to draw a two-dimensional view of the object. Before drawing, we need to draw the reference lines. Since there are no instructions are given for whether to draw using the first angle or third angle method, we will draw the orthographic view using the first angle method. In the first angle method, the front view of the object will be above the XY line and the top view will be below the XY line. The left-hand side view of the object will be on the right-hand side. That is here. The viewing direction is given from this side, therefore, whatever portion of the object is visible while looking from this side will be the front view of the object, and it will be drawn above the XY line. And whatever view is visible while looking from this side will be the left side view of the object, which will be drawn here. Suppose the viewing direction was given on this side, then this view would have been the front view of the object, and this view would have been the right-hand side view of the object. In that case, the front view, which is this view we would have drawn here, and the right-hand side view, which is the view visible from this side, would have been drawn here. And the top view of the object will always be below the front view. Let's start drawing. When we view the object from the direction X, this is how it looks. I will color the visible sides on the isometric view for your convenience. We can see the height of the object as 42 mm, and the total width of the object as 62 mm. That is this 16 mm plus this 30 mm plus 16 mm, which will be equal to 62 mm. Next, we can see the thickness of these sidewalls as 9 mm. The depth of this notch is 15 mm, and it is 22 mm away from this wall. Similarly, the notch provided on this front wall has an 18 mm width, and its center is 22 mm away from this sidewall. And this distance is 22 mm. Apart from this, we can see this dotted line. The hidden features of the object are represented by dotted lines. In this isometric view, we can see there is a slot. This slot is not visible in the front view because of this front part. In that case, it is represented with the dotted line. The depth of this slot is 6 mm. Since we are looking at this figure from the front view, only the depth of this slot is shown by the dotted line. This is the required front view of the object. Let's start drawing. Take a drafter and draw a horizontal line of 62 mm. And draw a vertical line of 42 mm from the endpoints of this line. And join these 2 points with a light line. We can see the length of these lines as 16 mm. Therefore, take a drafter and draw a horizontal line of 16 mm from these 2 points as shown. We can see this notch is in the center of this object. Therefore, mark a point on this horizontal line. And draw a light vertical line from this point. We can see the depth of this notch is 15 mm from the top. Therefore, mark a point at 15 mm from the top on this vertical line. After this, join these points. We got the outline of the object. Next, we will draw this horizontal line. The distance of this line from the bottom is 16 mm. Mark 16 mm from the bottom on this vertical line. And draw a horizontal line from this point. We can see the distance between these lines as 18 mm, which means each of these lines is 9 mm away from the center. Take a drafter, mark points at a 9 mm distance from the center, and draw the vertical lines from these points up to this horizontal line. After this, we need to draw these 2 vertical lines which represent these inclined walls. We can see the thickness of these walls as 9 mm, therefore, mark points 9 mm away from these vertical lines, and draw lines from these points as shown. At last, we need to draw this horizontal dotted line. We can see it is 6 mm above the bottom, so take a drafter and mark a point at 6 mm on this vertical line from the bottom. And draw a horizontal line. We got the final required front view of the object. Next, we will draw the top view of this object. When we see this object from the top, this is how it looks. The total width of the object remains the same, that is 62 mm. This length will be equal to 50 mm. The thickness of this wall is 20 mm, and the thickness of these walls is 9 mm. The depth of this notch is 9 mm, and the width is 18 mm. And it is 22 mm away from the sides. The width of this notch is 30 mm, and it is 16 mm away from the sides. These dotted lines represent this inner slot. The distance of this slot from both sides is 16 mm. This is the final top view of the object with dimensions. Let's start drawing. Draw the reference lines from each corner point of the top view. After this, draw a horizontal line of 62 mm. Draw the vertical lines of 50 mm from the endpoints of this line. Draw a light line joining these two endpoints. Next, the length of these lines is 22 mm. Draw the dark lines of 22 mm in length from the endpoints. After this, we will draw this notch. We can see its depth is 9 mm from the bottom. Therefore, mark a point at 9 mm on this vertical line from the bottom. And draw the lines joining these points to construct a notch. Next, we will draw this horizontal line, which is 20 mm below this horizontal line. Mark 20 mm from the top on this vertical line, and draw a horizontal line. After this, we will draw these vertical lines, which represent the notch on the vertical wall. Draw the vertical lines as shown. Next, we need to draw these two vertical lines, which are 9 mm away from the sides. Take a drafter and mark points on this horizontal line at a 9 mm distance from the sides, and draw the vertical lines as shown. At last, we need to draw these dotted lines representing the hidden slot. We can see the distance of this slot as 16 mm from both sides. Therefore, mark the points at 16 mm from top and bottom on this vertical line, and draw horizontal dotted lines from these points. This is the final required top view of the object. Next, we will draw the left-hand side view of the object. When we see the object from the side view, this is how it looks. The height will be 42 mm. The length of this bottom side will be 50 mm. The slot inside this object has a 6 mm height, and the width of this slot is 18 mm. The distance of this slot from the sides is 16 mm. This height is 16 mm, and the width of this side is 20 mm. These two dotted lines represent the notches on the walls. This dotted line represents this hollow section of the object. Let's start drawing. First, draw the horizontal reference lines from the corner points of the front view. After this, draw the reference lines from the top view. To get the reference lines from the top view, we will draw an inclined line at 45 degrees. Next, draw the horizontal lines from the corner points of the top view. After this, draw the vertical lines from each of these points. These reference lines will help us in drawing the left-hand side view. To construct the left-hand side view, draw a vertical line of 42 mm, whose length will equal to the distance between these two lines. After this, draw a horizontal line of 16 mm. Then, a vertical line of 6 mm. A horizontal line of 18 mm. A vertical line of 6 mm. And at last, a horizontal line of 16 mm. Next, draw a 16 mm vertical line from this endpoint. Draw a 20 mm horizontal line from this endpoint. And join these two endpoints. Therefore, we got the outline for the side view. After this, we need to draw the dotted lines representing the hidden features of the object. Draw a dotted line on this horizontal line, as shown. This line represents the hidden notch on the vertical wall of the object. Next, draw a dotted line on this vertical line as shown. This line represents the notch on the bottom wall. After this, draw a horizontal dotted line up to this reference line. This represents the base. And draw a vertical dotted line from this point. This represents the vertical wall. This is the final required left side view of the object. These are the required orthographic projections of the given object. I hope this video helped you in understanding how to draw the orthographic projection of a given object. If you liked this video, click on the like button, and if you are new to my channel ADTW Learn, click on the subscribe button and turn on all the notifications to get my latest videos.